Guys, it's 1:50 right here now, and my sister was like, hey, we can leave at 2:30, and I'm like, okay, that's in 15 minutes. She's like, no. 30 minutes? No. I didn't know what time it was. This is today. I'm filming videos today because this is more fun than everything else that I want to procrastinate on. So anyway, I'm literally procrastinating this video as I film it. Writing is hard. Chronic illness is hard. Put them together and they can seem impossible, but I am living proof that they're not. And today I want to offer some encouragement because it's a long process. Writing is a long process with a lot of steps. I mean, there's no end to breaking it down unless you break it down to, okay, I wrote a word. But writing a book itself is a process. It goes, you have to brainstorm. Most people outline, even if you're a pantser, you have some kind of outline often to go off of. Then you have to actually write the book. You have to, in all of that, if it's fiction, it's character development, it's plot development, it's developing the world and the world building and the structure and all of these things. And then if it's multiple series, that takes even more steps just in the planning process before you start writing the book. You gotta come up with names. You gotta come up, when most of us extensively spend hours researching baby name websites and then get ads about diapers. Or is that just me? And then, if you're a nonfiction writer, you also have extensive research to do. You've got to figure out what others are saying on this subject, what actually resonates with people. You're interviewing people, you're reading books, you're engaging with your target audience, you're living out your message. There's so much, and all of this is before you're even writing the book. And then writing the book, there's the first draft, which is a huge amount, tens of thousands of words, and you're having to write it all, to put it together, to put it in a logical sense, a way that makes sense, the way that flows, a way that isn't going to mean you have to edit 20 times, but maybe just 8 times later, and but yeah, there's first draft, which is, writing the chapters, writing the scenes, and you can break it down even further because sometimes that's what we got to do to motivate ourselves. We got to be like, okay, I have to write 5,000 words today, but all I can handle right now is 100. Okay, in 10 minutes, can I write 100 words or whatever it is? I don't know. And we have to break it down even further. And so there's all these little steps and all of these things. And writing a book, writing a first draft can take forever. Outlining and researching can take forever. And then you get to the end of that, and guess what? You're not done. You're not done. There's still more to do. You need to, edit and edit and edit and edit. We've got structural edits. We've got, making sure there's not plot holes. We've got more, line edits. We've got proofreading. We've got, this is going back and forth with alpha readers, with beta readers, with professional editors, and all of the different things. And that also takes time, takes a lot of steps. You keep saying, oh yeah, I got here. And we've done videos about celebrating, and I really recommend celebrating all of these steps. But in those steps, it takes time, and it takes endurance, and it takes motivation, because even when you get to the end of that, there's still more. There's always more. And say you get past that, say you get past all of that, then there's pitching, there's writing book proposals, there's getting it to agents, getting it to publishers. Say you get past all of that, you get through all of the things, you're ready to publish, which it takes more in those things than I just said, but we don't have time for that right now. And you're ready to publish, and then guess what? There's marketing. You're not done. Once your book is published, you're still not done. There's marketing to be done, there's interviews, there's blog posts, there's social media posts, there's networking, it doesn't end. And then guess what? It's time for the next book. And so with all of that, it can be hard to stay motivated. It can be hard to stay engaged, hard to stay focused. And so here's my encouragement for you today. Let me find it. Navigate your writing journey one step at a time. So it's important to think ahead. It's important to think about, okay, if I do this in the first draft, that's going to make editing so much easier. Or if I do this in the outline process, this is what needs to happen so that the writing of the book can actually happen in the way that it needs to, in the time that it needs to, and I don't get like to this one scene and then I need to extensively research middle-aged, like, you know, dining etiquette, and suddenly you're stuck for who knows how long, you know. So you want to like be strategic and you want to think ahead, but at the same time, it's one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And so something I've been thinking about lately is Jericho. My friends are probably tired of hearing me talk about Jericho at this point, but Jericho, you know, they went, and the Israelites, they went and they were going to defeat Jericho. God said, okay, I'm going with you. This is what you do. Walk around the city 7 days, and on the 7th day, walk around it 7 times, and then blow your trumpets and shout. And then the walls came down, and they charged into the city, and they took over the city. But before that, before the charging in, before even the walking around it, there was putting one foot in front of the other, and putting one foot in front of the other, and putting one foot in front of the other. They were just walking, and that walking didn't happen in laps. It did happen in laps, but it also happened in much smaller increments. It happened in, you know, I don't know what the wall looked like. Was it interesting? Was there changes? Were there mile markers? Or was it the same wall all the way around? Was it boring? Was this the desert? Although it was a land flowing with milk and honey, so Canaan in general was like land flowing with milk and honey, so maybe it wasn't as desert as I'm imagining, but like it's one step, one step, one step, one step at a time. And so in those, I imagine that it got very boring, and they weren't supposed to talk to each other either during that. There was like, don't grumble, or don't speak. Yeah, they weren't supposed to speak during that entire thing. So that sounds boring and exhausting, and like, okay, day 3, okay, I'm sore, I'm aching, the lactic acid is there, I don't feel like walking more. What's the point? How is this actually moving me to the end goal? Because they literally were walking in circles. They weren't even walking to like go somewhere. They were just walking in circles. How aggravating does that have to be when you're ready to charge? And there's another step, and there's another step, and there's another lap, and there's another lap, and then you get to the part where, okay, it's day 7, we're gonna do this, and instead you just walk 7 times in circles. Like, can we just appreciate that for a minute? But there was change happening in that. Sometimes, you know, my pastor pointed this out recently, sometimes, you know, you're walking around and you're not seeing the changes. You're not seeing the incremental changes and the growth. But that doesn't mean that God's not working. That doesn't mean that you're not making progress towards your goal. That doesn't mean that, okay, like that it's going to keep going for eternity, walking in circles around Jericho, or writing and writing and writing and not getting to goals or whatever. Because you do get there. And even though there's more, there's always more, you can't forget what you've done and where you've come and how far you've come. And so this is why my video a while ago about celebration, I think, is so important, and something that I've really been talking with one of my writing mentees about too. So I just want to encourage you. Maybe the giant goals feel too big. Well, that's okay. All you gotta do is write whatever you're supposed to write today. Or maybe today's supposed to be a rest day, and that's great. You only have to take one step at a time. And sometimes all of the steps that build up, you know, and that you're going to be like, okay, I have so much to do, can feel huge or can feel frustrating, but they're a gift. It's a gift that you don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to have the answer. You don't have to know it all. I hope that encourages you. Yeah. I would love to hear from you how you're doing in your writing, what your writing projects are. Comment below, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.